Hey everybody, it's me, Bree. I am coming at you today, February 23rd, with my first consult. Yay! I had it this morning with Dr. Broussard at the Weight-Wise Bariatric Program in Edmond, Oklahoma. I live in Oklahoma. And I'm so excited. It was like I was nervous at first, and of course that means my blood pressure was like way high, and when they took my vitals, she was like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I took my medicine and everything. So anyway, I was just nervous, and that happens to me anytime I am in a doctor's office, no matter what. So yeah, anyway, so what I want to do with this video is, because I couldn't find anything current like this on YouTube, I'm gonna go step by step through how the first consult went. Of course, it's going to be different for everyone because different offices do different things and different doctors require different things. So just be warned, this video may be a little bit long. I'll try to keep it as short as possible. So I went in, actually when I scheduled my appointment 2 weeks ago, they had me fill out most of the information on their patient portal online, like medical history and like medications I'm on and blah, 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 all that boring stuff that they usually make you do at the first visit. That stuff was already done. So I checked in at the receptionist, and she basically like asked me a few more questions, had me sign some more paperwork for HIPAA and emergency contact information, and had me fill out another sleep apnea questionnaire. I apparently don't have sleep apnea. Yay! So I don't have to have a sleep study. Go me. So I signed a little bit of paperwork and filled out that questionnaire and a couple more little short things, and almost immediately my patient advocate called me back, and she basically took me to her room and took my vitals. She took my blood pressure. She weighed me, of course. And oh, big news! I weigh okay. So my highest weight that I've ever recorded on my own scale was 293. That was a little bit before I got diabetes, and when I got diabetes before I was diagnosed, I dropped like 20 pounds, which is one of the symptoms of diabetes, is significant weight loss for no apparent reason. So I was just like, cool, I lost 20 pounds, that's all right. But no, diabetes. Anyway, so I've been stuck in the 270s since then, and when I started this this channel, I was at 273. And this past week, I knew it was coming, so I started preparing myself. I went back on a very strictly low-carb diet, like a lot of weight loss surgery patients do. I am I'm doing the keto diet again, ketogenic diet, where I try to eat as few carbs as possible. And I dropped 4.5 pounds, or is it 3.5 pounds? Anyway, I weighed in at 269 at the doctor's office. 269.6, which is fantastic because that's like, well, I guess that's 3.5 pounds. Yeah, about 3.5 pounds. Yay, go me. Probably all water. I tend to retain a lot of water because of the diabetes, and that's why I'm on a diuretic medication, because they're like, you swell up like a balloon. And I'm like, yeah, I know. So usually when I do a keto diet the first week or two, I drop a lot of water weight. So I know that's what that is, but it's still exciting. Yay, I'm 3.5 pounds lighter. So after all that, she did my vitals. She entered in some medication information and asked me a few questions. And then I just waited for a few minutes in the little room, and then she escorted me into the surgeon's office where he was at his desk. And he's so nice, Dr. Broussard. He's very straightforward. I liked that. I was expecting this, but he did try to sell me sort of on the gastric bypass, because I went in and he asked me, the first thing was, so what kind of surgery do you want? And I'm like, I think I want a sleeve and a vertical sleeve gastrectomy. And he's like, well, let me tell you like this. Gastric bypass patients, their diabetes remission rates are at 86%. And that's a lot. And I know that's a lot. But gastric bypass scares the daylights out of me. Like, I don't want them. Like, I'm fine. Cut out half my stomach. I don't need it. But when you start wanting to reroute intestines and do all that other stuff, and it scares me, and I'm not comfortable with it. So I was like, he tried really hard to sell me on it, and even though the sleeve surgery has only a 60% chance for remission for diabetes patients, I still chose that. And once he explained everything and answered any questions I had about bypass versus sleeve, which I didn't really have that many because I've already done a lot of research and watched both surgeries and all that stuff. And I'm just like, no, I want a sleeve. And he's like, okay, that's what we'll do then. If that's what you want, it'll be good for you. And if you're in that 60%, you're still just as cured from diabetes as you would be in the 86%. And I said, yes. So that was that. And basically, I'm going to be a sleever. Yay. He questioned me about like my diabetes numbers, my A1C, which he said anything over 8, A1C over 8, he will not do the surgery until it's lower. Luckily, I've never gotten that high. Well, I started out that high, but I'm right under that right now. I'm at like a 7.6. So he's like, you got to get that down. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And he was asking me like my fasting numbers, my fasting glucose numbers, which is when I check it myself at home. And I don't check it that often because I'm really bad about it. But the last, I've been trying to do it a little bit more this last month, knowing that this is all going to happen. And they've been in the low 200s, which is not good. And he was like, oh, dang, why are you eating so many carbs? And I'm like, I mean, I'm not really. I just have diabetes. And so then he started asking me, like, what kind of carbs are you eating? And I'm like, I'm not really eating that many carbs right now. And he's like, okay, well, no carbs. None. And I'm like, thinking to myself, that's kind of impossible because they are in literally everything. Vegetables, fruit, drinks, like everything. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. He told me I have to start walking 10 to 15 minutes a day on top of what I already do. So if I'm doing anything now, I need to walk 10 or 15 minutes more, which is easy. It's fine. It's peasy. It's greasy. So I don't think that'll be a big problem. The last couple of days, my boyfriend and I have been trying to go on walks anyway, and they usually last between 10 and 15 minutes, depending on how far we go in our little neighborhood. So that's good. The other thing is that he is requiring me to lose 5% of my body weight. Doesn't sound like a lot. And based on my weight today, yay, I have to lose 13 pounds before the surgery. Before they'll even schedule the surgery, I should say. So they asked me, when I want to do it. And I'm like, probably towards the end of April. And they're like, cool, you can do that. I forgot all of my questions. Like, I've been planning this, and I have a notebook here that I keep looking down at. If you notice my eyes going down, I'm looking at my notes in my notebook right here. And in this same notebook, I had written out questions to ask the surgeon. And then this morning, I walked out the door without it. So, what can you do? Oh man, I got crazy hair don't care day. Crazy hair don't care. Oh, this is on the wrong side. I have an asymmetrical haircut, if you can't tell, and it's growing out really long, and it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. Anyway, so I forgot all my questions to ask him. The only one that I remembered was about my diabetes medication post-op, because, I mean, if I'm not eating, then my blood sugar is going to drop, and my diabetes medication causes your blood sugar to go down. Like, that's its purpose. So I'm like, what about that? Like, what's going to happen? And he was like, oh, you'll probably be off all of your diabetes medication after surgery, and well, that we'll just have to work with my primary care physician, which I'm like, that's cool. It's kind of what I figured, but I would be happy to be off at least the one expensive medication that they're trying to charge me $60 a month for. No, thank you. So then he was like, are you ready? And I'm like, yes, I'm ready. I am so ready. And that's when I got really excited. So then he was like, cool, I'm done with you, get out. And I got back with my patient advocate, the first person who took my vitals and stuff, and we went back in our little room, and she basically had some more paperwork, and she's like, I just need to make sure you sign these showing that I gave you this information. And she said, like, basically went over the next steps. I got a checklist of things that I have to do before my surgery, and I'll go over that in a little bit when I go through my packet. She gave me some information on financing the surgery, because I am self-pay, and she gave me she asked me about previous lab work and tests and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I got to get these things. Excuse me. So I have to like contact my other doctors and be like, hey, send them the stuff. I have to get my most recent lab work from my primary care physician with all of my blood sugar stuff and cholesterol stuff, and I have to get my EKG sent from my cardiologist, and I have to get some more stuff from another doctor that I don't go to anymore because she's crazy. I didn't say that. No names. Sorry, looking at my notes. And then she was like, so when were you thinking you want to schedule the surgery? And I have a vacation planned at the end of March, over that last weekend, to go see my bestie in Washington, D.C. Yeah, you, boo. You. And so, like, I know I'm going to have to probably do, like, a 2-week liquid diet pre-op. And I want to make sure I'm not doing that during my vacation, and that I have enough time to, get that done without blowing my vacation and worrying about drinking protein shakes and stuff while I'm trying to go through the Smithsonian and shit like that. So I told her end of April, and she said, okay, you can probably do that. That shouldn't be any problem, and maybe we can tentatively schedule that. And I'm like, cool. But that didn't actually happen. Oh well. So then she was like, okay, you're all done. Do you have any questions? And I'm like, not yet, because I can't think of anything now. It's going to be when I'm trying to fall asleep tonight and my brain won't stop working that I'm going to think of my questions. So basically they're really nice. They gave me the surgeon's cell phone number, his home number, obviously his office and his email, her card with her information and email on it, the patient advocate. And everybody was super nice and super accommodating. And I went out to the receptionist again, and she's The sad part, she basically was like, okay, we're going to schedule your first visit with the dietitian, with the exercise physiologist. These are requirements from their program. I don't have, my insurance is not covering the surgery itself. Hopefully it'll cover some of the, like the psych eval, which I'm going to have to get, of course. But they don't even bill the insurance for the dietitian or the exercise person. So those are going to be some fees that might add up. If you're self-pay, be aware of this. They sort of nickel and dime you for these pre-op visits, at least at this place. So hopefully you have insurance. Yeah, this is big stuff. Anyway, so the first open date isn't until March 28th. The 28th. That's like more than a month from now. That's 2 days before my vacation. At least I'm going to get it done before then, so I can work on everything else. And when that comes along and then I go on my vacation, I can come back, I can say, yes, I'm done with your checklist, I'm ready, let's do it. And then I can get my pre-op appointment, get my liquid diet, get my surgery. Yay! And then new life, new me, new Brie. I'm going to free the Brie. So that was basically it. And they scheduled the dietitian, the exercise. I have to do a resting metabolic rate test where they measure your metabolism while you're just sitting around being lazy. So they scheduled those two together on the same day, and I went ahead and scheduled my psych eval with the psychologist on the same date because I just want to knock it out. Get it done now. So I have to do it. Why not? So I'm going to have to take like half a day off work to get all that stuff done on the same day, but it's worth it. It's worth it. I'm worth it. Okay? I'm worth it. You're worth it. We're all worth it. So let me go through my little packet here. I'm so excited, you guys. I'm so excited. Like, there were a couple of surprises I wasn't expecting, but it doesn't faze me. So I got this packet. It comes in a nice little folder. Oh, that's my post-it of things I have to get faxed over. Excuse me, I don't know. My nose is running. So let's start over here, and then I'll do the psych stuff last. Okay, so first I just had like a general clinic information. They're like, hey, you had to go to our seminar. This is what you should know. This is how we accept payment. This is what we're responsible for. Here's contact information for billing. Here's stuff about insurance, blah, blah, blah. Office hours. It's just a general thing here, which is all good and well. Okay, so one big thing that I know a lot of people have questions about is the cost. The cost. Like I've said, I'm self-pay. My insurance does not cover this surgery. They might cover labs and like the surgeon's visits with a copay. But they do not cover the surgery, the hospital, the anesthesiologist. They are not going to cover any of that. So they gave me this nice little surgical fee explanation for cash pay and financing. Oh, yeah, you see those big old numbers right there with the dollar signs? He wanted me to do, he suggested that I would be best with a laparoscopic roux-n-y or RNY, including a 3-night uncomplicated hospital stay. It includes your pre-op visit with the surgeon, the associated charges for the procedure, and a year of post-op appointments. $20,000. Yeah. Not happening. So that's another one of the factors of this surgery I chose. Besides the complications and recovery times of an roux-n-y gastric bypass, the cost, it's twice as much as a sleeve. And that's probably going to be true across the land. Oh, I'm sorry about my runny nose. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying not to sniff. So I am choosing a gastric sleeve. Let me see if I can show you this here. Gastric sleeve. $9,995. That includes a 2-night stay at the hospital. Usually, she said, you only have one. But if for some reason they think they need to keep you another night, that is covered. 2 nights max, as long as there are no complications. That does include, let's see, let me tell you what this includes. This includes the cost for the surgeon. This includes the cost for the assistant surgeon. The hospital, the hospital itself, like to use their facilities, the anesthesiologist, and the 2 nights. It also covers these pre-op visits with the surgeon and a year of post-op follow-ups with the surgeon only. Not the dietitian, not the exercise person, just the surgeon. It doesn't cover the psychologist. It doesn't cover any lab work or anything like that. My eye is twitching. That's one of the side effects of one of my medications is muscle spasms. It usually happens in my right eye. So if you see it twitching, well, that's what it is. And it's annoying. Can't wait to get off this medicine. Anyways, that doesn't cover any post-op lab work. It doesn't cover any sleep studies. It doesn't cover any EKGs or any other things that you want. That's $9,995. So one of the things that surprised me that I was not expecting was that, let me find it here, this right here, the Weight-Wise post-op service payment, a required by them, which, I mean, it's good, okay? It's good. They're supporting their post-op patients. I love the concept. I love it. But an additional $399 required by them. It's great, but it's required. And it includes 2 years of dietitian visits. Unlimited, which is good. I'm just reading off the paper here. 2 years of exercise physiologist visits. You usually schedule those together. You do them both at the same time. Another RMR or resting metabolic rate test once you reach your goal weight. Not before, not after, just once you're at your goal weight. And then any additional as needed visits with diet or exercise if necessary. So basically unlimited. Oh, and a post-op diet class that you have to go to 2 weeks post-op. It doesn't include any post-op lab work, metabolic testing, sleep studies, no visits with the surgeon. You're done seeing him. His time is too valuable. I mean, unless it's an emergency, you know, don't be scared. But that's an additional $400. So our total right now is $10,394. Yeah. Which brings me to this. Patient financing options. It's just a couple of banks and financing houses that work with them. One's a local credit union. I don't know if they're local. A regional maybe. I don't know. I've heard of them. and then one that's like a medical specific credit called Care Credit. So I will be looking into that. I'm hoping that maybe one of my family members, I'm just calling my family, my boyfriend and I, we've been together 8 years. We're not married or anything. We've lived together for 7. We might as well be married. His family is my family. And anyway, so one of my family members, I'm hoping, will help me out with part of this, or at least loan me the money with no interest. So I'm not sure, but I'm going to go ahead and just apply for full financing on my own through one of these financing options. I can finance the extra $400 that I wasn't expecting. But yeah, I'll have to see. As far as paying it and getting that done, the payment for the surgery and all of that, it has to be paid in full by my pre-op 2-week pre-op appointment. So it has to be paid before I start the liquid diet to actually get the surgery. So I have about, if everything goes according to plan and I do get in at the end of April, I have about a month and a half to secure financing and get it paid. So I'm not too worried about that. So yeah, it's a lot of money. The other thing that I was kind of surprised by, which I don't know why I was surprised, but they gave me this thing. So you know how everything is covered under the $10,000, uncomplicated? Well, what happens if you have complications? Well, you're going to have to pay it out of pocket. So they gave me this from this company, Bliss Surgical Complication Protection. Basically, it's insurance in case you have complications, and it's expensive. You can get a 90-day coverage, so you only get 90 days post-op coverage for bleeding, infection, leak, or perforation, which are some of the most common causes of complications. $1,170. I'm thinking that I'm just going to have to bypass that because it's just too much. It's too much. So $10,395. That doesn't include any of the fees for the dietitians, the classes,